Hello, we are The Promise of Love, bringing to you The Love Effect.
A podcast that brings you real insight and real stories about real relationships.
Hello, it's Rob and Winona, and we want to be a little bit of transparent with you all. This is something a little different than what we normally do in our podcasts, because January is a month that a lot of people file for divorce.
It's the beginning of divorce season.
It is.
As I understand it, we both went through divorces before we met.
Yes.
And this time of year was particularly rough for you.
Yes.
What was your experience?
Let me unpack a little bit about my story. Married for quite some time and didn't think anything was going on, didn't think anything was wrong. However, the end of the year, like on New Year's Eve, I got the whopping, "I just don't love you anymore." I was a little bit shocked. I can't say a little bit, I was a lot shocked. Devastated because it didn't seem like anything was wrong. However, there was a lot of red flags. But you just sometimes tend to just overlook the red flags. By the way, don't ever overlook the red flags. We also have that in our, honey, what do we have that in?
5 Steps to Find True Love online course.
Exactly. So,
Red flags.
Red flags. All right, let me get back to it. So, not only did the divorce slowly start happening, it happens New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, decided to go ahead and leave, and the rest of the story, wow, very interesting.
So let me get this straight. I'm going to fill in some gaps here.
Sure, go ahead.
You received this announcement on New Year's Eve.
Yes.
You thought you were going to be popping champagne and having fun with the family, and just the opposite.
Just the opposite.
And then he left the house on New Year's Day, starting the new year with a new woman.
Yes.
And then when did you receive the divorce papers?
Oh, around Valentine's Day.
There you go. There it is.
Yeah.
So I know you as a particularly strong believer.
Yes.
You are very much in love with Christ.
Yes.
And all around us, whether it be internet pundits or religious figures or whomever, you hear it all around us. God hates divorce. You hear people saying divorce is wrong in a Christian church.
Yes.
And some practices even forbid and will stop acknowledging you as a member of the church because you got a divorce.
Yes.
So how do you reconcile that with your having gotten a divorce? How do you reconcile your Christianity and your divorce? How do those two things coexist?
Well, I actually have to back it up just a little bit. So I happen to be married twice before. You are my third husband.
What?
Really?
Okay.
So it really bothered me, the first divorce, because I have been following Christ since I was 9 years of age. So very, very young. So what happened at the first divorce was a lot of abuse, a lot of physical, emotional, verbal. It was just a lot of abuse. So because of my belief, I stayed with the person because I was not grounded. I was not grounded in my religion or in my belief like I should have been. With saying that, I stayed with all that abuse and stayed with everything because the way I was raised is you never ever divorce. So it bothered me. But then I actually come to the realization there is a few things. God does not like divorce. However, being all but losing your life, God doesn't want that to happen either.
Do you remember on our very first date?
Of course.
I asked why did you divorce? You were divorced twice before we met.
Yes.
And I asked you about each one. What was the cause of your divorce? Why did you follow through with it? Do you remember what you gave me in a quick, short answer?
No.
No?
No.
Do you remember the importance of why I asked you that question?
Well, yeah, to see how long, make sure we weren't going to get married and then get divorced.
You said for the first one, there was a lot of infidelity.
Yes, infidelity, abuse. Yes.
And the second one, you were flat out abandoned.
Yes, and abandonment.
Oh yeah, of course there was infidelity in the second one, and then abandonment.
Yes.
And I had already, looked into this topic for my own faith.
Yes.
And I realized that there were two occasions that God will actually acknowledge a divorce.
A divorce, yes.
And one of them is sexual immorality.
Yes.
That is spoken by Christ Himself.
Yes.
It's in red ink.
Yes.
About that. And then Paul, the apostle, adds on to that, with the Spirit speaking through him, that if you are abandoned by an unbeliever, you are not bound by that marriage. And so that's what happened to you in both of your cases. You were abandoned by a non-believer, and actually in both cases there was sexual immorality involved.
Yes. That's why I said it at first. It kind of bothered me because I was like, I didn't know that what you just was talking about. So I was down on myself. I was like, what have I done? Why did I divorce? Why did I just stay in all the craziness?
Well, I wanted to know what your policy was.
I know.
I know. Because, as much as you loved me on that first date, I know I was just like the most amazing man you had ever laid eyes on. And you were like thrilled out of your mind. I mean, rolling up in that Ford Flex.
Oh, honey, you're so funny.
Yeah, I was the catch, right?
Yes.
But there was going to be some day where I kind of rubbed you the wrong way.
Yes.
Where you are not completely enamored with me.
Yes.
And for a lot of people, it's that moment in time that they decide, you know what, I'm not happy anymore. I'm going to file for divorce.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to see what your policy was.
Mm-hmm. Understood.
And the policy was observed through your practice.
Yes.
Of how you made your decision or how you came to the point of divorce.
All right. So, what about you, honey?
Oh.
Remember, this podcast, we're being transparent.
Transparent.
Yes.
All right. Well, about 3.5 years before I divorced, I discovered that there was quite a bit of infidelity. And whenever I found out at first, that was my point of being devastated. You had your falling out, just crying your eyes out after he said, I'm leaving.
Yes.
I had that moment 3.5 years before the decision to divorce. And something told me to seek understanding, find out what's going on, how much infidelity is there, and then see if you can get this to work. And I did extend that olive branch of forgiveness.
Yes.
But 3 years later, our relationship really had not changed. The show of love didn't really make a difference. There was still, maybe not sexual immorality, but there was infidelity, which is not necessarily the same thing.
The question I would have then, are you for sure that it stopped?
Actually, now that you asked the question, I don't know that for sure.
Exactly.
But I do know that there was a point when I realized that we are not going anywhere. There is no remorse for what was done.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm growing deeper and deeper into my relationship with Christ, the Apostle Paul does say that a believing husband can lift up a non-believing wife.
Yes.
Though I wasn't that strong in my walk yet, to be honest. And I felt this urge to go further than I could with her. And so I made the decision to divorce. For me, it was based on infidelity, sexual immorality. So in that respect, God does recognize that divorce.
Yes.
I have to admit that I probably could have stuck in there. I'm not sure if it would have made a difference to stay longer, but it's always an option. In both of these cases, actually I should say all three of these cases, sexual immorality was a part of it.
It was.
Whenever you're married, what drives a spouse to sexual immorality?
Oh, honey. Woo! That part right there. So, I have heard that your spouse doesn't look good anymore. A Ferrari is not going to stay looking in pristine condition. It's going to age.
Well,
Parts are going to age. Now, So yeah, I'm kind of comparing a little bit. I love cars. So, all a little funny, but getting back to the reality of it. A person thinks that you're going to stay looking a certain way for like all your life. Well, you're not going to look 20 forever. That's one thing about the changing of your body. Okay? So then they think that the grass is greener, so let me just get somebody else that their body looks good. So therefore, that means they're going to go with somebody younger. Mm-hmm. Or if it's not the outward appearance of a person, you're not intelligent. What does that even mean?
There's a certain theory that I subscribe to, and that is that whenever you get too familiar with somebody,
exactly,
you stop seeing them. And when you stop,
you're too comfortable.
Yes, and so whenever you stop feeling like you are seen in your marriage,
exactly,
it's all too tempting to go outside of your marriage,
exactly,
to find someone who will see you.
Yes.
And then once you start down that slippery slope, someone sees you and you feel that attraction, you feel that thing that was missing, where at home I'm not seen, but by this person, they see me, they touch me, they want me. And you get pulled into this, not really falling in love with the person that they are, but more so falling in love with the attention that you're getting.
Exactly. But however, it's not going to stay new.
That's true.
It is not going to stay new forever. And everything that glitters does not mean it is gold.
Because you are such a car buff.
Oh, yes.
I will use this analogy with you.
Sure, go ahead.
Sometimes there is this amazingly great looking car. What's your favorite kind of car?
Actually, it's more or less a truck.
Oh, okay.
Slightly country here. I love trucks.
Okay. So let's say that you got your eye on this great big Yukon Denali.
Oh. Okay.
And you decide it looks so beautiful with those chrome rims, low profile tires. It's just polished and waxed and it's gleaming in the sun, even though it's jet black. It's perfect. And you get in the car and you love being seen in this car. You love being seen with this car.
Mm-hmm.
And then you try to turn on your Bluetooth. It doesn't have Bluetooth. And then you go and you try to use GPS and it doesn't have that feature either. And then you try to get in, load up a bunch of people in the car, and you realize, well, the bucket seats in the second row and the third row just isn't working out. I can only carry 3 passengers with me in this car, and all of a sudden you start to realize that the utility of this sport utility vehicle isn't what you thought it would be. You loved how it looked,
yes,
but on an everyday basis, you go fill up at the tank at the gas pump, and you're like there for 30 minutes waiting for it to fill up, and you got a $120 bill.
Ooh.
It's like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So what looked beautiful on the outside, and you saw yourself dreamed about being with that car, when you have it home on a day-to-day basis, it's not all you thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in it, you're there. You're stuck.
Yeah.
That can lead to a divorce or a breakup as well. So as far as things that lead to divorce, being seen, feeling wanted.
Yeah, that is very important. You have to feel wanted.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
One of the things that we look at in the Steps to Find True Love course is the concept of a merit-based versus a grace-based relationship. A lot of people get married because of the merit. She does this for me, it feels good, I want that the rest of my life. He does that for me, I like that, it feels good, it makes me feel loved, I want that for the rest of my life. And then whenever one or the other stops fulfilling that contract, then you start to ask yourself, well, why did I get married? Now, she used to cook for me every day after work before we got married, and now that we are married, if I don't cook, it's takeout. Why is she not cook? She is not fulfilling the contract, the implied contract that we had because I thought she was going to be cooking for me. That's how she sold herself to me to begin with, and now that we're married, it's gone.
And that's a merit-based marriage.
That is merit-based.
Now let's talk about grace. That grace-based marriage. Go ahead, honey.
So in the flip case, where he used to bring flowers at least once a week, just
and some chocolate. Oh.
Okay. Chocolate flowers, perhaps?
Chocolate candy.
Okay.
Honey.
Chocolate covered strawberries.
Oh, them too.
Oh, there you
goodness.
go. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and chocolate covered bananas and I'm sorry.
He bring them at least once a week.
Yep.
At least twice a month. Before you get married.
Before.
And then after marriage, you might get a flower on a special occasion. Under the guise of, well, we're trying to save. You know, whenever I buy flowers for you, I'm spending your money too. So, you know, all these justifications come and everything. The question becomes, are you married because of those things, because of that contract, because your merit? Or do you love the way we were taught to love as Christ loves us?
And that's the grace-based marriage.
That's grace. It doesn't matter if you're bringing me flowers or chocolate or cooking me dinner. It doesn't matter the gifts that you're bringing me.
Exactly.
I love you because God loves me.
Oh, yes. Say it again.
I love you because God loves me.
There you go.
And one of the reasons I recognize his love for me is the gift of you in my life.
Ooh.
So,
honey.
well, I had to say it. And you know, as we go through our marriages with that mindset, you know, seasons like this, the divorce season, actually would not have to exist.
Yeah.
We would see each other, not just on anniversaries and birthdays, but we would see each other every day.
Every day.
We would never feel the need to leave the marriage to be seen. And in that, we stop doing things with the hope of having something done for us in return. We do it just for the pure love in our hearts for our spouses.
Isn't it just wonderful?
When you can find that kind of love in someone that you're dating, hold on to that.
Oh, what? Yes.
And if you've lost that kind of love in your marriage, you can generate that again. All you have to do is turn away from whatever is taking your attention.
Exactly.
Turn away from that. Turn to God and look at God through your spouse.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
If I can look in your eyes, honey, and I can see God's love, and I can feel it in my heart, I know it in my spirit, there's no reason to ever stray. There's no reason to ever want to go to the courthouse.
Exactly.
So yes, as we start into this divorce season, we want to draw upon our own experiences. Keep drawing your attention, of course, to the 5 steps to find true love course. And you know, we're going to help you through this. If you're experiencing divorce, just come back and tune in. We're going to continue to give you insights through this season.
Yes.
If divorce is threatening and knocking at your door, you'll get some ideas and tips here to keep that enemy away.
Oh, yes.
And rebuild your relationship, rebuild your marriage from the inside out.
Yeah.
Because if there was love there once, or if there was truly love there once, it's not gone. Just don't give up on it. We'll see you next time. You see, the whole point of the 5 Steps to Find True Love course is to minimize or hopefully even eliminate the threat of divorce in your relationship. So check it out at hope.stepstofindtruelove.com. And now this series on Divorce Aftercare 2021 begins with this episode, E19, that's E19.stepstofindtruelove.com. Or tune into The Love Effect on your favorite podcast platform.